Satyam is saying that he has read Krishna say that whatever has happened was good, and whatever will happen will be good. He says that this statement confuses him because he does not see goodness around him. The world is full of destruction, violence, strife. And the future appears darker than the present. Why is Krishna then saying that whatever happened was good and whatever will happen will be good? When a Krishna, a Buddha, a Jesus uses words, he does not use them in the same sense as the so-called normal people. His world is different, but because he is talking to you, so he has to use your language. He uses your language to point at something which is not of your world. Now this is difficult and risky, but there is no option, because he cannot come up with a new and different language of his own. If he does, you will not understand. And any language will anyway belong to the world of thoughts, concepts, mind and material. When Krishna says good, he does not mean good in the same sense as we use the words good and bad. For Krishna, the only goodness is godliness. When he says whatever happened was good and whatever will happen will be good, all he means is that the past and the future both arise from the same center, which is the great present. He says the past was good, the future will be good. Read it as the past arises from present and the future too arises from the present, and there is no good except the present. He means that all time is just a manifestation of the timeless, and all world is just an expansion of the spaceless, and that all happening contains the non-happening at its center. And to see this is the only good. Krishna is telling Arjun, please be able to appreciate the timeless in time. Please live in such a way that even when time seems to be circling and passing all around you, yet your mind is untouched by time. He is saying, live in such a way that even though you see lot of changes happening around you, war and peace, birth and death, gaining and losing, yet essentially there is simply nothing happening, and you realize that the external changes are merely shadows. Internally, there is just the unchanging, the godly, the Krishna, the good. There is no other good for Krishna. Krishna's sense of good and bad does not arise from morality. For him, the truth is the only good. And because there is only the truth, hence all is good. So it becomes obvious why he says that whatever there was is good, and whatever there will be good, because there is only the truth, and all time and space are just expanses of the truth. Then what is bad? Is there something called bad in Krishna's vocabulary? For people like Krishna, bad is just an illusion. Not to live in the good is bad. There is only the truth. There is actually no falseness. But the mind may get deluded, and the mind may start seeing things other than good. That is bad. So bad really does not exist. All that really exists is good. But bad may appear to exist. And this delusion of appearances alone is bad. Are you getting it? What is bad? The good, when not seen as good, is bad. So is the bad really bad? No. When you go close to the bad, with faith in your heart and attention in your mind, the bad itself shines as the good. The attentive mind, the faithful heart, is able to see the good in the bad. And this is the only positivity. This is the only goodness. Getting it? When all that exists is good, then there is no reason to choose between good and bad. Where will you bring the bad from to enable your choice? Only when you see godliness everywhere will it be possible for you to live choicelessly. Will it be possible for you to respond without opinions and prejudice, respond without your personal sense of morality, your personal and borrowed sense of good and bad. So the fake good and bad disappear from your life when you know all to be good. And till the time the fake good and bad are in your life, it's all actually bad for you, because fakeness itself is bad. fake good is fake and fake bad is fake, and both are just an obfuscation of the real good. The man who lives in morality can never be a spiritual man. The man who takes his sense of right and wrong from convention and society can never know Krishna. What does it mean that only truth exists and nothing else really exists? Its meaning can be understood only in deep meditation. Its meaning can be understood only by coming close to Krishna. There are two steps in understanding this. Step 1 is to see that what we call as good and bad are not separate at all. Our so-called normal worldly good depends on the bad for its survival. Without the bad, the good will not survive. What we call as good appears good only because it is preceded and followed by the bad. Good is the interim, the interval between two bads. And bad similarly is the interim between two goods. Let that not console us, let that not mean to us that when good is there, bad is not there. Let that not mean that the bad is waiting somewhere in the future when the good is there. No. Good and bad exist parallelly, simultaneously. It is just that the conditioned mind, out of its ignorance and preferences, looks only at half the picture, so is able to see either only good or only bad. Both are there, coexisting, but because the mind is deluded, it cannot see them together. Just as it cannot see day and night together. When one sees the deceptive nature of good and bad as defined by us, when one sees how fleeting they are, when one sees how one suffers in his quest for the good, then his attachment to good as defined by the world drops. This is the first step. The first step is to lose confidence in your personal sense of good and bad. The first step is to realize that what you have been calling as good all along is not good at all. The first step is to realize that what you have been avoiding as bad for so long is not bad at all. You have been uselessly running towards something and running away from something. What you have been running towards is not worth it, and what you have been running away from is not so scary. The first step is to be shaken up from your deep slumber, from your confidence which is rooted in ignorance. But merely being shaken up will not suffice. Step 1 alone does not bring you home. You not only need to know that your value was fake, but you also need to realize what is really valuable. Not only do you need to know that what you have been carrying with you was worthless, but you also need to go close to the really worthy. Otherwise, you will be left gasping for air, and sooner than later you will find that because you could not get the real thing, so you had to go back to your fakenesses, in spite of knowing that they are fake. In absence of an alternative, a substitute, the reality, you will have to go back to your old self, and that would be a bigger disaster. Step 2 is to secure your peace. Step 2 is to secure the empty space that is created, that is liberated when your opinions, concepts, your good and bad are thrown out of the window. When you have cleared away your garbage, beautiful empty space shines within you. But you will not have the power to defend it. The power to defend it cannot be yours. As far as you are concerned, your tendencies, your vrittis, your latencies are so deep and so powerful that even after all the clearing, you will find yourself getting defeated by yourself. Your darkness is so deep that you will be defeated at your own hands. You do not need anybody else to come and conquer you. You alone are sufficient. You will be beaten by yourself. All your work will go waste. You may have put in a lot of effort in clearing the mind, but because the root of ego will remain, so whatever you have cleared will come back sooner than later. Your blemishless emptiness will not last. How to secure it then? The only way to secure it is to hand it over to a power bigger than yourself. You can be defeated by yourself, so you need somebody whom you cannot defeat. You need somebody in front of whom none of your lies are going to work. You need somebody whom you cannot cheat. And you need somebody who is so potent that he can simply overpower you. This is faith. This is the real meaning of devotion. To know without knowing. To have a deep, deep belief, not your ordinary worldly belief, a belief of another dimension. To have a deep, deep belief that there is something far more powerful than me. That behind all the shadows there has to be something real. That beyond the passage of time there has to be the timeless. I may not know it, but it has to exist. Only that exists. And this is not blind belief. This is not possible for a blind mind at all. It requires a really sharp mind, a really intelligent mind to come to faith. Krishna is not for blind believers. Krishna is not for bigots and traditionalists. Krishna is not for those who have been handed over Krishna idols by religion or culture or convention. Krishna is for those who have discovered Krishna all by themselves, alone, for the first time, freshly, individually, originally. Only when you discover Krishna for yourself, by yourself, that step 2 will be possible. Only then you can have a deep faith in Him, and only then you will be able to hand yourself over to Him. Only then will you be able to say that I am giving myself up. You are the only reality, you are the only one that exists, and it is only befitting that the fake surrenders to the real. Are you getting it? When that happens, then in middle of all the happenings, you are not the same you anymore. A new quality comes to your living. You become sharp, very sharp. Illusion cannot fool you anymore. The world cannot dominate you anymore. You are able to very clearly differentiate between the real and the unreal, and not only that, you are also able to see the real behind the unreal. Satyam has said that even though Krishna says that whatever will happen will be good, but I am not so sure about the future. You cannot be sure about the future till you take future as the passage of time. Till you take future as an uncertain thing that is going to come to you, till you take future as an unknown which is going to happen, obviously the future will appear distant, and threatening. But when you take the future as just a game, a projection of that which is very close to you, of that which is very, very well known to you, then you cannot be threatened by the future. Understand it using an example. You are standing and you find a lot of unknown faces coming towards you. Faces of all colors and kinds, and all of them unknown. You will have reason to feel apprehensive. You will have reason to feel a little afraid, a little threatened. Because all of those are unknown people. You do not know from where they are coming. You do not know what their intention is. You do not know what they are bringing along with them. So you will feel at risk. But what if you suddenly discover that all these people who are coming towards you have been called to you by your best friend who is walking besides you? What if you discover that your best friend who is always with you, walking besides you, very close to you, is calling all those people? Those people may not be known to you, but they are very well known to your best friend, and he is the one who is calling them to you. Now, would you still be afraid of those people? When you know that time is just an expansion of Krishna, of truth, then you cannot be afraid of time. Time may be there, but the master of time is with me. Time may be distant, time may bring a lot of unknowns to me, but the center of time, the owner of time, the master of time is with me and known to me. How does it matter that the future will be unknown? I know the present, and the future arises from the present. How does it matter if there is so much that is waiting to happen? The real thing has already happened and is continuously happening with me, within me. Now, what else can happen? Now, the future is no more threatening. Hmm? When Krishna says all that will happen is good, he is asking you to get rid of your calculations, because the question has already been solved, and it is a foolish mathematician who tries to solve an already solved question. He is asking you to be free of your cleverness, because it is an extremely foolish man who tries to be clever in matters that are essentially simple. He is saying your efforts, your intervention are not needed. When nothing exists except me, whom are you trying to defeat? Whom are you trying to secure? And what are you afraid of? The one who will understand this will get a childlike simplicity and lightness in his mind and on his face.